Beirut is the capital and largest city of Lebanon. No recent population census has been done, but in 2007 estimates ranged from slightly more than 1 million to slightly less than 2 million as part of Greater Beirut. Located on a peninsula at the midpoint of Lebanon's Mediterranean coast, Beirut is the country's largest and main seaport. The first mention of this metropolis is found in the ancient Egyptian Tell el-Amarna letters dating from the 15th century BC. The city has been inhabited continuously since then. The Beirut River runs south to north on the eastern edge of the city. Beirut is Lebanon's seat of government and plays a central role in the Lebanese economy, with many banks and corporations based in its central district, Hamra Street, Rue Verdun and Ashrafiyeh. Following the destructive Lebanese civil war, Beirut's cultural landscape underwent major reconstruction. Identified and graded for accountancy, advertising, banking, finance and law, Beirut is ranked as a Beta World City by the Globalization and World Cities Research Network. Archaeology and prehistory. Several prehistoric archaeological sites were discovered within the urban area of Beirut, revealing flint tools of sequential periods dating from the Middle Paleolithic and Upper Paleolithic through the Neolithic to the Bronze Age. Beirut I, or Minute LHOSN, was listed as Beirutville by Louis Bertil and said to be on the beach near the Orient and Bazul hotels on the Avenue des Français in central Beirut. The site was discovered by Lautet in 1894 and discussed by Godefroy Zumoffen in 1900. The flint industry from the site was described as Mousterian and is held by the Museum of Fine Arts of Lyon. Beirut II, or el-Khatib, was suggested by Bertil to have been south of Tariq el-Jadida, where P. Gigas discovered a Copper Age flint industry at around 100 meters above sea level. The site had been built on and destroyed by 1948. Beirut III, Furnesh Shebak or Plateau Tabay, was suggested to have been located on the left bank of the Beirut River. Bertil suggested that it was west of the Damascus Road, although this determination has been criticized by Lorraine Copeland. P. Gigas discovered a series of Neolithic flint tools on the surface along with the remains of a structure suggested to be a hut circle. Auguste Bergy discussed polished axes that were also found at this site, which has now completely disappeared as a result of construction and urbanization of the area. Beirut IV, or Furnesh Shebak, river banks, was also on the left bank of the river and on either side of the road leading eastwards from the Furnesh Shebak police station towards the river that marked the city limits. The area was covered in red sand that represented Quaternary River terraces. The site was found by Jesuit Father Dylan Sager and published by fellow Jesuits Godefroy Zumoffen. Raoul describes an Auguste Bergy. Collections from the site were made by Bergy, describes and another Jesuit, Paul Bouvier-Lapierre. A large number of Middle Paleolithic flint tools were found on the surface and inside gullies that drain into the river. Henry Fleisch also found an emery point amongst material from the site, which has now disappeared beneath buildings. Beirut V, or Nahr Beirut, was discovered by Dylan Sager and said to be in an orchard of mulberry trees on the left bank of the river, near the river mouth, and to be close to the railway station and bridge to Tripoli. Lavallois flints and bones and similar surface material were found amongst brecciated deposits. The area has now been built on. Beirut VI, or Patriarchate, was a site discovered while building on the property of the Lebanese Evangelical School for Girls in the Patriarchate area of Beirut. It was notable for the discovery of a finely styled Canaanian blade javelin suggested to date to the Neolithic Ancient or Neolithic Moyen periods of Byblos, and which is held in the school library. Beirut 7, or Rivoli Cinema and Byblos Cinema sites near the But in the Rue Larz area, are two sites discovered by Lorraine Copland and Peter Westcombe in 1964 and examined by Diana Kirkbride and Roger Seidar. One site was behind the parking lot of the Byblos Cinema and showed collapsed walls, pits, floors, charcoal, pottery and flints. The other, overlooking a cliff west of the Rivoli Cinemas, was composed of 3 layers resting on limestone bedrock. Fragments of blades and broad flakes were recovered from the first layer of black soil, above which some Bronze Age pottery was recovered in a layer of grey soil. Pieces of Roman pottery and mosaics were found in the upper layer. Middle Bronze Age tombs were found in this area, and the ancient Tell of Beirut is thought to be in the But area. The Phoenician port of Beirut was located between Rue Foch and Rue Allenby on the north coast. The port or harbour was excavated and reported on several years ago and now lies buried under the city. Another suggested port or dry dock was claimed to have been discovered 1 kilometre to the west in 2011 by a team of Lebanese archaeologists from the Directorate General of Antiquities of Lebanese University. Controversy arose on 26 June 2012 when authorization was given by Lebanese Minister of Culture Gabi Layoun for a private company called Venus Towers Real Estate Development Company to destroy the ruins in the $500 million construction project of 3 skyscrapers and a garden behind Hotel Monroe in downtown Beirut. 2 later reports by an international committee of archaeologists appointed by Layoun, including Hans Kerver, and an expert report by Ralph Pedson, a member of the Institute of Nautical Archaeology and now teaching at Marburg in Germany, dismissed the claims that the trenches were a port. On various criteria, the exact function of Site BE-1 194 may now never be discovered, and the issue raised heated emotions and led to increased coverage on the subject of Lebanese heritage in the press. History. Beirut was settled more than 5,000 years ago. Its name derives from the Canaanite Phoenician Beirut, referring to the underground water table that is still tapped by the local inhabitants for general use. Excavations in the downtown area have unearthed layers of Phoenician, Hellenistic, Roman, Byzantine, Arab, Crusader and Ottoman remains. The first historical reference to Beirut dates from the 14th century BC, when it is mentioned in the cuneiform tablets of the Amarna letters. 3 letters that Amun-Ra of Beruta sent to the Pharaoh of Egypt. Beruta is also referenced in the letters from Rabhada, king of Byblos. The oldest settlement was on an island in the river that progressively silted up. The city was known in antiquity as Berytus. This name was taken in 1934 for the archaeological journal published by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences at the American University of Beirut. Hellenistic and Roman period in 140 BC. The city was destroyed by Diodotus Tryphon in his contest with Antiochus VII's side test for the throne of the Macedonian Seleucid monarchy. Beirut was soon rebuilt on a more conventional Hellenistic plan and renamed Laodicea in Phoenicia or Laodicea in Canaan in honor of a Seleucid, Laodice. The modern city overlies the ancient one, and little archaeology was carried out until after the end of the Civil War in 1991. The post-war, salvage excavations have yielded new insights in the layout and history of Roman Berytus. Public architecture included several bath complexes, colonnaded streets, a circus and theatre. Residential areas were excavated in the future Garden of Forgiveness, Martyrs Square and the Beirut Souks. Mid-1st century coins from Berytus bear the head of Tyche, goddess of fortune, on the reverse. The city's symbol appears. A dolphin entwines an anchor. This symbol was later taken up by the early printer Aldus Manutius in 15th century Venice. Beirut was conquered by Pompey in 64 BC. The city was assimilated into the Roman Empire. Veteran soldiers were sent there, and large building projects were undertaken. Beirut was considered the most Roman city in the eastern provinces of the Roman Empire. In 14 BC, during the reign of Herod the Great, Berytus became a colonia and was named Colonia Lulia Augusta Felix Berytus. Its law school was widely known. Two of Rome's most famous jurists, Papinian and Ulpian, both natives of Phoenicia, taught there under the Severan emperors. When Justinian assembled his pandects in the 6th century, a large part of the corpus of laws was derived from these two jurists, and in 533 Justinian recognized the school as one of the three official law schools of the empire. After the 551 Beirut earthquake, the students were transferred to Sidon. Middle Ages Beirut passed into Arab control in 635. Prince Arslan bin al-Mundir founded the Principality of Sin el-Fil in Beirut in 759 AD. From this principality developed the later Principality of Mount Lebanon, which was the basis for the establishment of Greater Lebanon. Today's Lebanon. As a trading center of the eastern Mediterranean, Beirut was overshadowed by Acre during the Middle Ages. From 1110 to 1291 it was in the hands of the Crusaders' Kingdom of Jerusalem. John of Ibelin, the old lord of Beirut, rebuilt the city after the battles with Saladin and also built the Ibelin family palace in Beirut. Ottoman rule. Under the Ottoman Sultan Selim I, the Ottomans conquered Syria including present-day Lebanon. Beirut was controlled by local Druze emirs throughout the Ottoman period. One of them, Faik al-Din II, fortified it early in the 17th century, but the Ottomans reclaimed it in 1763, with the help of Damascus. Beirut successfully broke Acre's monopoly on Syrian maritime trade and for a few years supplanted it as the main trading center in the region. During the succeeding epoch of rebellion against Ottoman hegemony in Acre under Jezid Pasha and Abdullah Pasha, Beirut declined to a small town with a population of about 10,000 and was an object of contention between the Ottomans, the local Druze, and the Mamluks. After Ibrahim Pasha of Egypt captured Acre in 1832, Beirut began its revival. By the second half of the 19th century, Beirut was developing close commercial and political ties with European imperial powers, particularly France. European interests in Lebanese silk and other export products transformed the city into a major port and commercial center. Meanwhile, Ottoman power in the region continued to decline. Sectarian and religious conflicts, power vacuums, and changes in the political dynamics of the region culminated in the 1860 Lebanon conflict. Beirut became a destination for Maronite Christian refugees fleeing from the worst areas of the fighting on Mount Lebanon and in Damascus. This in turn altered the ethnic composition of Beirut itself, sowing the seeds of future ethnic and religious troubles there and in Greater Lebanon. However, Beirut was able to prosper in the meantime. This was again a product of European intervention, and also a general realization amongst the city's residents that commerce, trade, and prosperity depended on domestic stability. In 1888, Beirut was made capital of a vilayet in Syria, including the Sanjaks Latakia, Tripoli, Beirut, Acre and Bekaa. By this time, Beirut had grown into a cosmopolitan city and had close links with Europe and the United States. It also became a center of missionary activity that spawned educational institutions, such as the American University of Beirut. Provided with water from a British company and gas from a French one, silk exports to Europe came to dominate the local economy. After French engineers established a modern harbor in 1894 and a rail link across Lebanon to Damascus and Aleppo in 1907, much of the trade was carried by French ships to Marseille. French influence in the area soon exceeded that of any other European power. The 1911 Encyclopaedia Britannica reported a population consisting of 36,000 Muslims, 77,000 Christians, 2,500 Jews, 400 Druze and 4,100 foreigners. At the start of the 20th century, Salam al-Salam was one of the most prominent figures in Beirut, holding numerous public positions including deputy from Beirut to the Ottoman Parliament and president of the municipality of Beirut. Given his modern way of life, the emergence of Salam al-Salam as a public figure constituted a transformation in terms of the social development of the city. Modern era. After the collapse of the Ottoman Empire following World War I, Beirut, along with the rest of Lebanon, was placed under the French mandate. Lebanon achieved independence in 1943, and Beirut became the capital city. The city remained a regional intellectual capital, becoming a major tourist destination and a banking haven, especially for the Persian Gulf oil boom. This era of relative prosperity ended in 1975 when the Lebanese civil war broke out throughout the country. During most of the war, Beirut was divided between the Muslim west part and the Christian east. The downtown area, previously the home of much of the city's commercial and cultural activity, became a no-man's land known as the Green Line. Many inhabitants fled to other countries. About 60,000 people died in the first 2 years of the war, and much of the city was devastated. A particularly destructive period was the 1978 Syrian siege of Attribution, the main Christian district of Beirut. Syrian troops relentlessly bombed the eastern quarter of the city, but Christian militias defeated multiple attempts by Syria's elite forces to capture the strategic area in a 3-month campaign later known as the 100 Days War. Another destructive chapter was the 1982 Lebanon War, during which most of West Beirut was under siege by Israeli troops. In 1983, French and U.S. barracks were bombed, killing 241 American servicemen, 58 French servicemen, 6 civilians and the 2 suicide bombers. Since the end of the war in 1990, the people of Lebanon have been rebuilding Beirut, and by the start of the 2006 Israel-Lebanon conflict, the city had somewhat regained its status as a tourist, cultural and intellectual center in the Middle East and as a center for commerce, fashion, and media. The reconstruction of downtown Beirut has been largely driven by Solidar, a development company established in 1994 by Prime Minister Rafik Hariri. The city has been host to the Asian Club Basketball Championship and the Asian Football Cup and has hosted the Miss Europe pageant 8 times. 1960 to 1964, 1999, 2001, 2002. Rafik Hariri was assassinated in 2005 near the St. George Hotel in Beirut. A month later, about 1 million people gathered for an opposition rally in Beirut. The Cedar Revolution was the largest rally in Lebanon's history at that time. The last Syrian troops withdrew from Beirut on the 26th of April 2005, and the two countries established diplomatic relations on the 15th of October 2008. During the 2006 Lebanon War, Israeli bombardment caused damage in many parts of Beirut, especially the predominantly Shiite southern suburbs of Beirut. In May 2008, after the government decided to disband Hezbollah's communications network, violent clashes broke out briefly between government allies and opposition forces, before control of the city was handed over to the Lebanese army. After this, a national dialogue conference was held in Doha at the invitation of the Prince of Qatar. The conference agreed to appoint a new president of Lebanon and to establish a new national government involving all the political adversaries. As a result of the Doha agreement, the opposition's camp in the capital was removed. On 19 October 2012, a car bomb killed 8 people in the Beirut neighborhood of Attribution, including Brigadier General Wissam al-Hassan, chief of the Intelligence Bureau of the Internal Security Forces. In addition, 78 others were wounded in the bombing. It was the largest attack in the capital since 2008. On 27 December 2013, a car bomb exploded in the Central District, killing at least 5 people, including the former Lebanese ambassador to the U.S., Mohammed Shatter, and wounding 71 others. In the 12th of November 2015 Beirut bombings, 2 suicide bombers detonated explosives outside a mosque and inside a bakery, killing 43 people, and injuring 200. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant immediately claimed responsibility for the attacks. Let the Shiite apostates know that we will not rest until we take revenge in the name of the Prophet. Geography. Beirut sits on a peninsula extending westward into the Mediterranean Sea about 94 kilometers north of the Lebanon-Israel border. It is flanked by the Lebanon Mountains and has taken on a triangular shape, largely influenced by its situation between and atop two hills, Al-Ashrafiyah and Al-Musaytibar. The Beirut Governorate occupies 18 square kilometers, and the city's metropolitan area 67 square kilometers. The coast is rather diverse, with rocky beaches, sandy shores and cliffs situated beside one another. Climate. Beirut has a hot summer Mediterranean climate characterized by warm days and nights. Autumn and spring are warm, winter is mild and rainy, and summer can be virtually rainless. August is considered the only really hot muggy month, with a monthly average high temperature of 32 degrees Celsius, and January and February are the coldest months, with a monthly average low temperature of 11 degrees Celsius. The prevailing wind during the afternoon and evening is from the west. At night it reverses to offshore, blowing from the land out to sea. The average annual rainfall is 893 mm, with the majority falling in winter, autumn and spring. Much of the autumn and spring rain falls in heavy downpours on a limited number of days, but in winter it is spread more evenly over a large number of days. Summer receives very little rainfall, if any. Snow is rare, except in the mountainous eastern suburbs, where snowfall is common due to the region's high altitudes. Environmental issues. See Marine environmental issues in Lebanon. Quarters and sectors. Beirut is divided into 12 quarters: Akrafiyah, Dar el Marisa, Bachawara, Mazra, Medawar, Minat Lhosn, Musaber, Port, Ras Beirut, Ermail, Saifi, Zukak al-Blat. These quarters are divided into sectors. 2 of the 12 official Palestinian refugee camps in Lebanon are located in the southern suburbs of Beirut, Burj el-Baraha and Shatalah. There is also one within its municipal boundaries, Mar Elias. Of the 15 unregistered or unofficial refugee camps, Sabra, which lies adjacent to Shatalah, is also located in southern Beirut. People in Lebanon often use different names for the same geographic locations, and few people rely on official, government-provided street numbers. Instead, historic and commercial landmarks and location codes such as PIN Liban are more common.